to an episode of SV Football. Today we're going to be taking a look at the coaching dilemma, who's the front runner for which team, what we think the front runner should be, and some very, very underrated prospects for head coach. Today on SV Football, all intro!
Now you see me, now you don't.
Okay, so first of all, head coaching firings. One that's very obvious that happened a long time ago. Vic Fangio got fired as the Broncos head coach. That was pretty expected. Also pretty expected, Mike Zimmer and Matt Nagy were also fired as the Vikings and Bears head coaches respectively. And, however, this is the surprising one. Brian Flores is no longer the Miami Dolphins head coach. I did say to get him out of there.
Just last year, Brian Flores was second in running for head coach of the year, and now he's fired from his own team.
I do think it was a fair decision. I did say get him out in that predictions video that we did in week 18, but I think this is a fair decision. Honestly, my perspective, I think it's a fair decision to do. And here's why. Let me explain why. The reason why I think it's a fair decision is because he overbelieves in Tua. Yes, I do think they're starting, but first of all, he does overbelieve in Tua. He has not done a great job this year. They've definitely underperformed. Missing the playoffs was a huge letdown. Yeah, they won 6 straight, but they started 1-7. They should have done a lot better than that.
7 straight. They won 7 straight.
They did win 7 straight, but they choked it at the end, and they shouldn't have even had to be in a position to win 7 straight to make the playoffs, because this is a very talented team. And I'm not saying I 100% agree with the decision to fire him, but I definitely think, I understand why, is what I'm trying to say.
I would agree with that. Brian Flores, last year he was like a top coach in the league. This year, he did a lot less than everybody expected and made it so that the Dolphins didn't make the playoffs. They should have been able to make the playoffs this year.
Absolutely.
It was a very talented squad. So yeah.
Now, speaking of the Dolphins, let's take a look at their frontrunner, Brian Daboll, divisional rival of the Bills, offensive coordinator. I think this would be a very, very good head coach for the Miami Dolphins.
Brian Daboll. Yeah, honestly, he was for the Bills, as the offensive coordinator for the Bills, they've been doing very well on offense for the past couple of years. I think they could be a very good head coach and understand the outlook of like how on the plays will go, and like he'll understand on the plays. He'll be able to like make the right decisions, as he was like probably one of the top offensive coordinators in the league.
Absolutely. And considering the fact that the Dolphins are primarily a defensive team, having an offensive-minded head coach would not be that bad.
That could really take their offense to the next level.
And also, a big thing, he knows the Buffalo Bills, a divisional rival who they'd be competing with. And coming from that division, he knows a lot about the teams that they'd be primarily facing, so that'd be really useful. In my opinion, there's only one. Actually, no, I don't think there is any other. No, not really. I don't think the only other person that you might say would be better than Brian Daboll might be Kellen Moore. For them, just looking at the offensive coordinators on this list, I don't think Hugh Jackson, Marvin Lewis, and Bill O'Brien, I don't think they should get a job. Honestly, the only other person that I think would be better than Brian Daboll is Josh McDaniels.
No, Kellen Moore.
I think Josh McDaniels, honestly, is the only other person that would be better for them. Kellen Moore, you might be able to argue, but realistically, I think Brian Daboll is a good option.
If you're a Boise State fan, you might be able to argue.
My bottom 3, honestly, is Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien. Is that your number 1 bottom?
Yeah, he's the worst. He's probably the worst coach. And then I'll also probably argue Hugh Jackson.
Hugh Jackson's too. Sam, you were mentioning Bill O'Brien down there at the bottom.
Yeah.
He's the Jaguars frontrunner for head coach. Believe it or not, he's the Jacksonville Jaguars frontrunner.
Was he the old Houston Texans head coach?
He was the Houston Texans head coach who traded DeAndre Hopkins for a piece of pencil and an eraser. Honestly, I think Jim Caldwell, I think he's a very good option. He guided the Lions to multiple winning seasons and a playoff berth, which is the best anyone's ever done for him in a very long time. So I think, honestly, Jim Caldwell is the best option for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jacksonville Jaguars, honestly, anybody they could get is honestly the best.
Any of these guys is better than Urban Meyer, except for Bill O'Brien, in my opinion. Except for Bill O'Brien and Hugh Jackson, and Bill O'Brien just so happens to be the front runner for Jacksonville.
Bill O'Brien will bring a bunch of losing seasons again to the Jaguars.
I honestly think if they get either of the two Jims, Jim Caldwell or Jim Harbaugh. Now, you have to keep in mind, there are head coaches that are straight up denying the Jaguars' job because they don't want to work with their GM. Which is
their
absurd.
Game manager, bro. Holy shoot.
Their general manager is horrible. They need him out. But they're not going to fire him because Shad Khan he doesn't understand football isn't for the lighthearted, all right? This is a sport. If you don't do a good job, you're out. And Shad Khan does not want to fire him, and he needs to, honestly. Because you have coaches like Jim Harbaugh who are denying it because Jim Harbaugh and Brian Leftwich, both of them.
Oh, more.
Two examples are Jim Harbaugh and Brian Leftwich. Great options, but they're not even going to go to the Jaguars just because they don't want to work with that GM. Honestly, Bill O'Brien's not a good option. Jim Harbaugh would be a good option. Brian Leftwich would be a good option, but they don't want to work with the GM, so they need to get that GM out of there. Of course, Bill O'Brien is a horrible head coach. Honestly, I think Doug Peterson might be a pretty good option for them.
Peterson, he was a very good head coach for the Eagles for a decent amount of time.
As you can see in that top left corner of your screen, there's Doug. That's
Jim Harbaugh was a Super Bowl coach for the Niners.
He was. Doug Peterson, top left of your screen, is holding out that Lombardi trophy. And he is the Vikings front runner. Believe it or not, the Vikings front runner is Doug Peterson. That is not a good thing for Bears, Packers, and Lions fans. I mean,
Doug Peterson is a good coach. Towards the end of his Eagles head coaching, it wasn't that good, but he led them. He was a good head coach for the Eagles.
I mean, yeah, right there. Top left of your screen right now, everyone. Fans watching, viewers. There he is, Doug Peterson holding up a Lombardi trophy. I mean, he won a Super Bowl. He's the only head coach on this list to have a Super Bowl win.
Yeah, like, Doug Peterson, I don't know why he's not, like, the top for, like, everyone. Like, Doug Peterson is, like, he's an outstanding coach. I understand they kind of broke down towards the end of the Eagles, but, man, he's good. And I think whoever gets him will be lucky, and will have a pretty good season, depending on how bad the team is or how good the team is. But, yeah, he can definitely make all of these teams a lot better by him being the head coach.
Absolutely. And, I mean, for the Minnesota Vikings, it'd be an upgrade over Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer's a very, very defensive-minded head coach, and I honestly don't think he'll be a head coach in the NFL, maybe not even a DC. I think if Doug Peterson, in my opinion, is the best candidate for the Vikings. But if I had to pick someone else, Jim Caldwell, Jim Harbaugh, those are going to come up a lot. But the Vikings, really, Byron Leftwich would be a good option. Brian DeBoer would be a good option. Nathaniel Hackett would be a good option. Nathaniel Hackett is the Packers OC. We haven't talked to him about a lot yet. He's not a front runner, surprisingly, considering the Packers have had the best offense one of the best offenses in the league. Not the best, but one of the best for a while. And Aaron Rodgers said he really likes him. If Aaron Rodgers likes him, and I mean, he was the reigning MVP. He might even win it again. Who knows? But
I think A-Rod for MVP, honestly. I know
it's A-Rod for MVP.
Yeah, he's been doing. Other than week 1, forget about.
Other than week 1, just subtract week 1 real quick, and yeah.
He had a worse passer rating than if he threw the ball into the dirt every single play. He had a worse passer rating than that.
So basically, realistically, Doug Peterson's a really good option. Nate Hackett, Josh McDaniels, in my opinion, Kellen Moore are the only other options that could be better. It could be better.
Yeah, man, Kellen Moore, of course.
And now, Kellen Moore could be a better option for the Vikings. But Doug Peterson, solid. Pretty solid. Only one to have a Super Bowl win as a head coach. Pretty solid. And now, Kellen Moore, obviously, we said might be a better option, but he seems to be a better option for the Raiders as he is the Las Vegas Raiders frontrunner.
prepare for this to happen, man. You guys are gonna get.
All right,
All
Sam, explain why Kellen Moore would be a good offensive coordinator for the Raiders without mentioning Boise State.
He's a good quarterback at Boise State.
I said without mentioning Boise State.
He's like Kellen Moore. I think. Think about it.
Wait,
Instead of
one
just,
second.
like, he's not the offensive coordinator that incorporates one person on the offense. He incorporates every single person on the offense. Think about it. Tony Pollard. He's been showing himself for the past few years just because of Kellen Moore is involving him in the role. They have Elliott. They have everybody. But with Kellen Moore, he just has been using everybody. Think about it. Dallas offense has been extremely solid this year. Honestly, in my opinion, one of the top offenses in the years. One of the top offenses in the year. Because think about it. I think it's their offense, along with some slight defense, like Michael Parsons, Trevon Diggs, that have been leading to the game. But think about it. He's involved CeeDee Lamb, he's involved Mark Cooper, he's involved Tony Pollard, he's involved Cedric Wilson.
Cedric Wilson's really good. CeeDee Lamb's been kind of quiet. Towards the end of the year, he's really been picking it up. But at the beginning, he was kind of quiet. Kellen Moore, obviously, he's a pretty good offensive. I don't think he's the right guy for the Raiders.
I do.
I think he'd be a lot better for the Dolphins or the Vikings, or the Jags. The Jags could take anyone other than Bill O'Brien and Hugh Jackson to be an upgrade, but Bill O'Brien's their front runner, which is saddening. Honestly, I think the Raiders are not doing very smart by picking him. The Broncos, Dolphins.
This might be slightly biased.
Really, honestly, anyone but the Raiders should be where Kellen Moore goes. I think Kellen Moore is a good option for everyone but the Raiders, just because the Raiders already have that developed offense.
Have the Raiders have that developed offense? Their
They do.
top part of their game is their offense. Their defense needs some improving on, so I would think that would be better for the Raiders to hire a defensive-minded head coach.
Such as possibly Matt Eberflus, the Colts defensive coordinator, Todd Bowles, the Buccaneers defensive coordinator.
The Colts
Matt Eberflus, I don't know if you know, Colts defensive coordinator? Think about it. Think about how dominant the Colts defense has been in the past few years.
Absolutely. I think he's the guy for the Raiders.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because they already have the offense.
Or Todd Boyles, Buccaneers
Bowles.
defensive Bowles, Bowles. But I think those two options are my best options for the Raiders.
You might even say Mike Zimmer is a possibility. Maybe he might come in at fourth. But obviously, in my opinion, Matt Eberflus is the best option for the Raiders. Now,
Yeah, they need defensive minds. Their offense. They have a really good offense right now. And honestly, if you put in a former offensive coordinator and they're just doing what they already have done, get built up their offense. They need to build up their defense now to bring them from a playoff contender to a Super Bowl contender. Like right now, they made the playoffs, but I don't think they're going far.
Now,
but if they can build up their defense, then next year, then maybe we'll be talking Super Bowl.
The Raiders are in the playoffs.
They are. They're
I know. That's what I just said.
Now, one thing to note, as you see, it does say with an asterisk, Raiders frontrunner, asterisk. The Raiders do seem like they might want to keep Rich Bisaccia, but earlier this season when they fired Gruden, they did say they were interested in getting Kellen Moore. So that is the only reason why he's the Raiders frontrunner, and they haven't expressed interest in anyone else. But Rich Bisaccia could definitely be the head coach heading into next year, and honestly, he's done kind of a good job just getting into the playoffs after the Henry Ruggs incident and then John Gruden, of course, leaving. He's done a pretty good job in my opinion.
Gruden didn't fire him, he resigned.
Well, they were going to fire him anyway. And I think, honestly, if you're thinking defensively, the Raiders also, another defensive coordinator we didn't mention is Dan Quinn for the Cowboys defense. He's done a pretty good job this year. And
Dan Quinn was good.
Another team that thinks he's been doing a pretty good job, apparently, is the Denver Broncos, as he is the Denver Broncos frontrunner.
I think the Denver Broncos with Dan Quinn, their defense is going to go from good to great.
Absolutely.
Because their defense is already amazing, I think.
The problem is
so many
that they
young
need to build
talents.
up their offense. The problem with the Denver Broncos is that their offense is not high powered.
In my
They just got
opinion,
to-
I think the only thing they need is a quarterback for that offense to just go. which is why the Russell Wilson sweepstakes they need to tune into. Russell Wilson sweepstakes they need to tune into.
That's true. Yeah, if they could get Russell, they could go from like average, maybe slightly below average, to above average offense.
Super Bowl contender, even you might say.
Yeah, Super Bowl contender, because they were a playoff contender. Did they make the playoffs?
Cowboys?
No.
No, they didn't.
No,
Yeah, they
the Broncos.
I mean, I don't think it's Super Bowl. You can't honestly they're playoff contenders, not Super Bowl.
No, if they
No,
get
but
Russell
if they
Wilson.
get Russell Wilson.
Ever since Peyton Manning left, that franchise has been horrible. They need a
quarterback.
quarterback, and Russell Wilson is your guy. But
And Russell Wilson wants out, bro. Russell
he does.
Wilson-
This is the Russell Wilson sweepstakes. They need to tune
This
into
could be
that.
the Broncos' chance. This could be the Broncos' chance to turn over their offense.
It could be.
Since Peyton Manning.
Absolutely.
This
could
is
be.
their chance.
Now,
And they
Dan
just
Quinn.
got
They,
Devontae Williams.
thinking about
It was
this.
a
Yeah, go ahead.
And they also just drafted Javonte Williams, who has been a
They did.
stud running back. So they got their running back figured out. Melvin Gordon's just getting older and older. And Javonte Williams, he had a really good rookie season. He was kind of like a quiet name, but then people finally started learning about him, and he had a really good season. So they have the running back. They just need the
Yeah.
quarterback.
Now, one thing to note about Dan Quinn. He's definitely not the best option for them. He's good, though. If they can get
Kellen
Russell
Moore's the
Wilson,
best option.
Russell Wilson is going to want to say, hey, because, Tom Brady goes into Tampa Bay. He says, I'm basically going to coach the offense, and they win a Super Bowl. Russell Wilson might want to do something similar to that. So for Dan Quinn, he might have the offense covered with Russ.
That's actually
Kellen Moore.
Defensively, Dan Quinn will do a really good job turning that defense into a great defense. And yeah, I think honestly, Kellen Moore, yes, would be a pretty good option. He would be. He'd be a pretty good option. Another person that'd be a pretty good option would be Nathaniel Hackett, Josh McDaniels. But yeah, Broncos front runner. Not a horrible pick if you're honestly picking from this.
The
pool. Not
day.
a horrible pick.
At the end of the day, to Sam's concern, I think Kellen Moore will find a place to be a head coach because there's so many different.
I don't think he will.
I mean, I think they will at least find like a offense. I know they already have offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, but I think he's like close to top runner for a lot of these teams. I mean, he's not. Well, I guess just one, but I think his best chance is probably to go to the Raiders. If the Raiders don't end up getting him, then I would say no. But obviously, if the Raiders pick him up, then obviously it'd be a yes, 'cause he's on the Raiders.
Yeah, so Dan Quinn would be a good. But then again, if you're thinking offense, you might think of Brian Leftwich, Buccaneers offensive coordinator, and he, speaking of him, is the final team Bears front runner. Byron Leftwich.
Kellen Moore.
He's the Bears front runner. This would be a great pickup for the Bears. Honestly, no other way to say it. This would be a great pickup for Chicago. Horrible news for your Vikings, Packers, Lions fans. Great pickup for Chicago if they can get Byron Leftwich. And I believe they also fired their GM, who would be making horrible decisions. The Jags need to fire GM Trent Baalke. He needs to be out, gone, see ya, goodbye to Trent Baalke, Jaguars GM. But the Bears, who we're focusing on right now, Byron Leftwich, in my opinion, is probably tied with Jim Harbaugh for the best selection you can make.
I mean, I guess Jim Harbaugh just came off an upsetting loss to Georgia in the playoffs this year.
Who actually shockingly beat Alabama. Holy
Exactly.
cow, who expected that? So, the Bears frontrunner Byron Leftwich. This is probably, in my opinion, the best pick out of any team. Suited for
Dan
their
Quinn?
team, Byron Leftwich is the best option. Leftwich is actually right here where I'm pointing, right below me. I'm kind of covering up his face. Kellen Moore is right there. That is Hugh Jackson, but right next to Hugh Jackson, that's Nathaniel Hackett. That is Jim Caldwell.
Make your hiding job even harder, Spencer.
That's Marvin Lewis. And right
on top of my face or something.
On top of your face is Nathaniel Hackett. To the left of Sam, that's kind of Jim Harbaugh being covered up by Sam.
No, give Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh's.
That's Flores. That's Brian Flores right there where I'm pointing. All right. Oh, so now that we've had our fun with that, we're going to now say, take a look at this.
Brian Flores expected to become a head coach for all of those teams? Obviously,
He is not the front runner for any of them. No, he's also a Bears. He is a Bears contender. Harbaugh is a Bears contender. Kind of. Leftwich though is their front runner, and he is a good front runner. In my opinion, if I had to pick any of the front runners,
Like Harbaugh?
Spencer, do you know who else is a good front runner?
Jim Harbaugh.
if I had to pick any of the front runners, out of Doug Peterson, Bill O'Brien, Byron Leftwich, Brian DeBull, Dan Quinn, and Kellen Moore, I'd pick Byron Leftwich. Oh my God! Byron Leftwich. Sam, what are your thoughts on Byron Leftwich?
I honestly think him or Nate Hackett are just honestly I compare because they both have been team. They both have ran team offensive coordinators for some of the best offenses in the game. Buccaneers stormed through everybody with their offense and their great defense. Their offense totally showed against the Chiefs. They won 40-9 in the Super Bowl, and I think Nate Hackett he just been a dominant force for the Packers the whole year. And Kellen Moore again. Just Hey, my dad's right there. My dad just approved. I told you. My dad just approved because he.
Guys, thank you so much for watching this video of SV Football. We are going to be talking about in the future. Make sure you subscribe, turn on post notifications, because we will be talking. We will be talking about Russell Wilson's future. We're going to be doing our playoff predictions and what game picks for every week. Please do hit that subscribe button if you enjoy the content. It helps us out a lot because we work hard on these SV Football videos. Especially me sitting here trying to edit it. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and goodbye.